Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure for Ecuador to invite you to this important event that's organized by Natalia. It is very important for us because the rights of nature is one of our main, has been one of our main achievements as a country. We have developed this map, and all of our law framework is developed under this important vision. This is not just a mention, this is not just a name, it's a vision for the country. So this space reflects the importance for Ecuador to enhance, to promote, to disseminate this kind of visions around the world. In the presence of everyone, for us, is very important. Your voice is important, and so we are very proud to promote this space. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and the pleasure is really for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina, and thank you for the Ecuadorian Pavilion to receive us today. My name is Natalia Greene, and it's my pleasure to be organizing this conversation with these amazing leaders from all over the world. We really wanted to take advantage of this space because Ecuador is the first country in the world to recognize that nature is a subject of rights in its constitution. I invite you all to actually take a picture at the other side where there's a big sign that says Ecuador recognized the rights of nature in 2008. And that is why we didn't want to we wanted to use the opportunity to use this space and be in this space and have Ecuador be this champion, because definitely Ecuador started the rights of nature movement, and I'm really happy that now we have this amazing set of panelists that will be sharing their stories about the rights of nature and how is this movement growing around the world. So I am going to start just by introducing myself. I'm Natalia Greene. I'm the Vice President of SEDENMA, that is a coordinating entity for environmental NGOs in Ecuador. And I'm also the Director of GARN, that is the Global Alliance for the Rights of Nature. As GARN, we're an organization that started in 2010, and is an organization that first gathered some voluntary people, individuals, and now gathers more than 6,000 people around the world that are promoting the rights of nature. So I'm very happy, and right now I'm going to ask you to share a map. Ecuador, there was only a little space in the US called 𝙂𝙗𝙗 that was a little city that recognized the rights of nature before Ecuador. It was only in 1972 that there was you can see here in the map how the rights of nature spread, especially after 2008 when we were able to include it in our constitution, and it started spreading all over the world. Now this phenomenon about the rights of nature is something that occupies 37 countries. There are 37 countries that somehow recognize the rights of nature. Not in their constitution, there's only that little space Aruba right there that is hoping to change their constitution next year to include the rights of nature. And we have other local spaces like Baviera in Germany that is also trying to change their constitution. However, there are many rivers that have now rights, like the River Atrato in Colombia, all rivers in Bangladesh, the Wanganui River in New Zealand. We have many cities that recognize the rights of nature in Mexico, in Argentina, in Brazil, in the US. We have ecosystems like Mar Menor in Spain that recognize the rights of nature. And this phenomenon is growing so much that is definitely something that we need to uphold. as a real solution for climate change. Because we are trying to rebalance these bad relations that we have with nature towards a more harmonious relationship. So I will ask you to just go back to, I'm going to share one more thing before going in this panel, that instead of, if you can go to the next picture, instead of doing presentations, I am going to be moderating so we can be asking some questions to our panelists so they can share their experiences. And that one right there. First, I want to share that, for example, in Ecuador, we've been able to uphold the rights of nature by defending the rights of these frogs. These 2 frogs were able to revoke a mining license in Ecuador because they were not included in the impact study. And if you go farther down, you will see how small this frog is. This has allowed us really to promote and to uphold the rights of nature. If you go to the next one. But definitely, that little one is the frog. If you go to the latest one, last one, I want to pass the floor to Juan, so he can tell us a little bit more about the experience, about what happened in Ecuador in August 20th. But this is something quite important because Ecuador, in a majority, was able to prohibit and leave fossil fuels underground in the ITT, and also to prohibit mining in my city, in Quito, with a percentage of 69% of our population voting in Quito to end all mining concessions in the city. And now we're going to talk and learn a little bit about 𝙂𝙡𝙤𝙡. But before we do this, I really want to show and demonstrate that the reason why we have been able to have these victories in Ecuador is because this year is the 15-year anniversary of the rights of nature. We've been having, and we've understood for 15 years that nature is our mother, that nature is an object, that is not an object that you exploit, it's a subject that you protect. And because we know that nature has these inherent rights, I truly believe that we have a population that is very sensitive about these topics. So first we're going to talk with Juan. He is the president of the NAWE, that is the Guaraní nationality of Ecuador. He lives in 𝙂𝙡𝙤𝙡, and he can share his story. Juan?
Waponi Baneque, Tomaminitono. Buenos días, mi nombre es Juan Bay, soy presidente de la nacionalidad guaraní del Ecuador NAWE. La nacionalidad guaraní está asentado en las 3 provincias de la Amazonía ecuatoriana, que está dentro de eso Pastaza Naporellana.
I'm Juan Bay, I'm the president of the nationality of the Guarani nationality. This nationality is based in 3 provinces in Ecuador: Napo, Orellana, and Pastaza.
Guaraní, estamos asentado alrededor de 2 millones de hectáreas, aproximación de 5.000 guaraní.
We have almost 2,000 hectares, and we're the Guaranis, we are almost 2,000 people.
40% tenemos titulada la escritura y 60% en proceso.
40% we have land titles and 60% is under process.
Una de ellas, como mencioné, está el Parque Nacional 𝙂𝙡𝙤𝙡, donde que explotó bloque 43, 𝙂𝙡𝙤𝙡.
And in our territory is the 𝙂𝙡𝙤𝙡 National Park, where there is a block 43. That is the block where there's oil exploitation in all the blocks as well. And that is block 43 is block ITT.
El 20 de agosto en el Ecuador dimos el primer paso a nivel nacional o a nivel mundial sobre la consulta popular sobre el 𝙂𝙂𝙤𝙡𝙤.
On August 20th, we gave the first step to say yes to 𝙂𝙂𝙤𝙡, and we had a national referendum about the block ITT 𝙂𝙂𝙤.
Donde se visualizó el posicionamiento del territorio ancestral, donde que sumamos los pueblos guaraní y con el apoyo de los pueblos indígenas y con los pueblos ecuatorianos.
Where we were able to show the support of the Guarani people, of all people in Ecuador for this process.
Guaraní dimos el primer paso hacia el verdadero acción climático,
We gave the first step as Guarani for climate action,
ganando la consulta popular con el 60% con el apoyo del pueblo ecuatoriano.
Winning with 60% of the population the national referendum with the support of the people of Ecuador.
En vista de eso, Consejo de Gobierno, como representante, líder del pueblo guaraní, ha decretado en estado de emergencia en territorio guaraní.
Because of that, the National Council of the Guaranis has decided to say that our territory is an emergency.
Por las demandas de las comunidades, por las situaciones tan críticas que el pueblo guaraní está atravesando hoy en día en temas de salud, en temas de educación, en temas de desarrollo, en temas de oportunidad.
Because of all the demands or the lacks and all everything that the Guarani people are missing, like opportunities within development, health, sanitation.
Nosotros ya dimos el primer paso defendiendo los derechos a la naturaleza del Yasuní.
We have given already the first step to defend the Yasuní National Park.
Ahora me pregunto, ¿cuál es la responsabilidad de los órganos del gobierno, organizaciones ONG y todos ustedes para el apoyo a la naturaleza y el apoyo a los pueblos indígenas, en especial a los pueblos guaraní, quienes defendemos la naturaleza, quienes defendemos el bosque para salvar la planeta y el mundo, donde estamos hablando sobre el Yasuní?
Now I'm asking, what is the role of the state, of the NGOs, of you all, to protect the Yasuní, to protect the Guarani that are living in that territory and defending that territory of Yasuní?
Si violentamos los derechos de la naturaleza, también violentamos los derechos de los pueblos indígenas y los pueblos de aislamiento voluntarios que existen dentro del territorio guaraní, que son una familia nuestra de los 𝘭𝙀𝙀𝙀.
If we violate the rights of nature, we're also violating the rights of indigenous, non-contact indigenous people, 𝘭𝙀𝙀 and 𝘾𝙀𝙀, that are also our family.
Seguimos defendiendo y nos seguiremos defendiendo, como siempre, que es nuestro territorio, que es nuestra casa, porque ahí tenemos la mercancía, ahí tenemos la cultura, ahí existimos los pueblos originarios en ese territorio, pero a veces el mundo y la sociedad del Estado no se visualiza. En ese territorio existimos los pueblos indígenas, en especial los pueblos guaraní y también los pueblos de aislamiento voluntario 𝘭𝙀𝙀 y 𝘾𝙀𝙀.
We will keep defending our territory because that's where we have our food, everything. That's our territory, that's our home. People don't realize that, but that territory is home for the Guaranis, also home for the indigenous, non-contact indigenous people, 𝘭𝙀𝙀, 𝘾𝙀𝙀, and we need to keep defending our territory.
El cambio climático es un problema de todos nosotros.
Climate change is the problem for all of us.
Ya estamos protegiendo la naturaleza como pueblos originarios y ahora ustedes, el mundo, la sociedad y el gobierno, las organizaciones ONG internacionales, que se suma la lucha de los pueblos originarios sobre la defensa, sobre el territorio, sobre el río, sobre la fauna.
We're already defending our territory and we're asking you all to come together and join in this effort to defend the territory, the forest, the water, the rivers.
Hemos hablado ese mensaje como presidente del pueblo guaraní, he dado 3 puntos importantes sobre la defensa territorial, sobre la defensa del río, naturaleza, sobre defensa de los pueblos de aislamiento voluntario y sobre defensa de los pueblos indígenas que existimos en la Amazonía ecuatoriana.
So we are coming here to defend these 3 points: the defense for our territory, the defense for the indigenous people, the Guaranis and the non-contact indigenous people, and the defense for our rivers, water, and animals.
Hoy, acá desde Dubái, alzando la voz como presidente, le llamo a la unidad. Si somos parte del problema, tenemos que ser parte de la solución. A todos esos estados, gobiernos, a las organizaciones internacionales, le llamo que seamos parte de esa lucha de los pueblos originarios, de los pueblos indígenas, que somos en especial los guaraní, y también a los pueblos de aislamiento voluntario 𝘭𝙀𝙀 y 𝘾𝙀𝙀. Muchas gracias, muy buenos días con todos.
Today here in Dubai, we are raising our voice and telling you to come together and to join in this effort to protect the territory, to protect Yasuní, to protect all of this, and to fight. We are part of the problem. Let's all be part of the solution together. So we are asking you to come together in this effort to Now we're going to listen from Danielle 𝘾𝙗𝙗. Dani is an important artist from Canada. She's going to talk to us about the Antarctica Declaration and Antarctica Working Group. As I was saying, this idea of the rights of nature is spreading all over the world. And yesterday it was the day of Antarctica, and a very important day to launch a declaration that Danielle is going to speak to us about.
So hello and how are you? My name is 𝘾𝙡𝙤𝙗𝙖𝙡 and my English name is Dani Kehler. I'm a Plains Cree woman from 𝘭𝙗𝙗 First Nations on Treaty 4 territory in the country known as Canada. I'm an Indigenous artist. I am an Indigenous woman, and my knowledge of the land and my passion for sustainability stems from my Indigenous nation and teachings of my cousin, which is my grandmother. So since time immemorial, we have been stewards of the land, and that's something that's very embedded within our culture, our traditions, our ceremonies, our language, and it's the essence of who we are. So this is something that how I operate from, and I lead an Indigenous organization where we empower and educate Indigenous youth to get into the clean energy climate sector. Because Indigenous representation is needed. Like I've always said, we've been A1 since day one in sustainability. And so we want to have a voice, and we want to contribute to all the solutions and the policies we make. So we brought a delegation of 10 Indigenous youth to COP to come experience it and start to use their voices and get them amplified within these spaces. So that's kind of the background where I'm from, and we understand that we are all nature, like we are not above anything, so we try and embed that within the work that we do. So like I said, like we work together with the four-legged, the two-legged, the winged, and the gilled, and we all work together. So our first teachers is the animals and how they operate with the land. You know, we've been taught to not take more than what we need and to always give back more than we take. And that's something that is very beautiful and something that's very needed within this work. And so I went to Antarctica in 2022. I was part of an expedition called the 2041 Foundation Climate Force 2041 expedition. And so we went down there to go see the first-hand effects of climate change and meet with a bunch of people, youth, students, executives, world leaders, governments, everything, to go down there and work with one another and start to really create solutions that's going to work for everybody and learn about Antarctica and the big responsibility that we all have to care for her, because she is the key of what makes the world go round. I learned that 70% of the world's fresh water comes from Antarctica. And so there's trickle effects of climate change, and it all stems from her. And so we all have like this dual diligence to really care for her. Like I said before, when I went down there, it was like I seen a piece of Mother Nature's soul that has been untouched because it hasn't been colonized yet. Not yet. We don't want to colonize her. And so this organization that I'm a part of is the Antarctic Rights. Yeah, Antarctic Rights. So we created a declaration and we're getting a constitution and making a nonprofit to make Antarctica recognized as a living being, because from like an Indigenous lens too, because like we see Mother Nature, Mother Earth as having a soul and being our mother, and every single thing on Earth has a spirit, even the rocks. That's Grandfather Rock, and we pray to him. And so we understand that Antarctica is very important, and if she goes, we all go. So we want to really create policies and solutions that's really going to be beneficial for everybody. And so we created this nonprofit organization. It launched yesterday, the website went live, and we're currently looking for partners and want to recruit people to be part of this movement, because I really believe that it's super important and to think of it as, people in everyday life, they don't even consider Antarctica, don't even think about her, like it's somewhere at the ends of the world and nobody even knows about her or why she's important. So we really want to amplify that and educate people about why it's important. Something that I learned when I was down there is metaphorically speaking, that everybody owns, is responsible, not owns, is responsible for a piece of Antarctica the size of a football field. And so everybody has a responsibility to care for Antarctica. And there's been pieces and chunks of her that are floating away to go into the graveyard, the glacier graveyard. It's literally pieces and chunks of Antarctica that are melting and going away into the sea. And it's nothing but icebergs that are literally dying. And it's very sad to see. And so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And we really want to get people more involved with it. Yeah, that's the organization that I'm here for, and talking about the right to nature and why it's important.
Thank you, Danielle, and it's really a pleasure to see how it is done. And we wish the Antarctica group very good luck with this promotion of the Antarctica Declaration. I really hope that this happens, because Antarctica needs to have a voice. So now we're going to listen to Tom Goldtooth. He's part of our executive committee of GARN. He's the director of IEN. And Tom, you're one of our guidelines. Definitely a person that whose knowledge we follow and whose principles we follow. So we would love to hear about that call from Mother Earth to respect Mother Earth's rights, and the relationship that you see between Indigenous people and the rights of nature.
Well, thank you, Natty. Could someone help me out and give me one finger so I have 1 minute left? Because I will take advantage that we have two more relatives here to speak. I was just sitting here thinking of a song. That's all I have to say. We have a challenge in this world that we call a planet. We call it our mother, our grandmother, and that's the Earth. In most of my travels throughout the world, I've been really lucky to travel through the world and talk to many people, including those politicians, including industry, including, most important, our people who are from the land, indigenous to the land. And we have a lot of things in common. Who we walk upon every morning throughout the day is our mother. The concept of a female, the concept of a mother or a grandmother. And I was born with that understanding. I was raised with that understanding. I have a little hole in my stomach. When I came into this world from my biological mother, there's a cord. They have to cut that cord. So many of you know what I'm saying. Some of you have this little hole that goes in. Some of you have an outage that comes out. That's an Indian joke. That's an Indigenous joke. You're supposed to laugh at that. So, but the way I was taught, and this is Indigenous knowledge, we continue to have a cord like that that connects us to Ushigua, Grandmother Earth. So, in our mind, in our heart, in our spirit, we respect that relationship. We respect that responsibility that we have as a child. Grandmother says, do this or do not do that. Watch what you do, because it's a harmony and a balance we were taught to live by. Natural law as Indigenous people. And that song reflects that, of the voice that comes from up above. The voice that comes from up above. And these songs have meaning. So I'm talking about relationship. 𝙂𝙡𝙗𝙖𝙡 is a term we use in our tribe, in our people back home in the north. That's a powerful word. It has power to it. It defines what I talked about. It keeps us accountable. When we use that word, it keeps us respectful. 𝙂𝙡𝙗𝙖𝙡 is we are all related. We are relations here. You are my relatives. I see a bird outside, that's my relative. I see some life or a plant. That frog is my relative that was on the screen. So we have a responsibility, is what I'm saying. In the modern terms of the laws of the colonial government, they create rights. What is rights? What is that word, rights? How do we change the system of the world of colonizers that created a system of a legal system that has ownership of everything? Ownership. That's what we're confronted with. So when I try to convey my relationship that is inherent to who I am, some of you are seeing relatives who are indigenous to your homeland. You have your own language. You have your own way of existing and beliefs to the land, what I'm talking about. You are the original people of your area. I come from an area that was colonized by European people. I hear that even long time ago, some of those people believed like us. But they were killed. Their lifeway was killed. There were men that became kings to control the land. And they even destroyed the woman teachings in the societies in Europe. The same thing where I come from. What is the mentality of people that want to destroy what I just explained? The beauty and love of Mother Earth and nature. To a world that is committing daily violence, like a world that is constantly at war with Mother Earth. Objectification of the Mother Earth the same way there's objectification of our woman. How do we systematically change that? So we said to ourselves, there's a global alliance and rights of nature. These people are not indigenous. Some of them come from European descendants. Some live in South Africa. My friend Cormac. These people a long time ago came from Europe, but they live in South Africa now. But he has an intelligence and a heart that went deep and understand colonialism and the legal framework. And how do they look at changing a system of the world of looking at the earth community, changing the legal system that recognizes what I just explained, the voice of the Mother Earth, the voice of the animal, that spears of the animals. We have a lot of work to do. I'm going to sum up and finish. We have a lot of work we have to do, and we need your support. It's all on our shoulders right now. Our people are dying. When we fight for our rights, the system wants to criminalize us and put us in prison or assassinate us. There's an indigenous person from Peru that was just killed and assassinated. So how do we change this around? The rights of the Mother Earth, the rights of nature, that recognizes the customary rights, though, of indigenous peoples. Like my brother here said, there's no difference as we fight for our rights, our collective rights, our inherent rights as indigenous people, and the rights of the sacred woman of the forest. There's no difference. So when we fight for the rights of Mother Earth, you've got to also lift up your defense of the inherent relationship and indigenous jurisprudence of our laws that are not recognized. This system does not like indigenous people. They want us to acculturate. They want us to assimilate. They want us to be like them. Then they will say, you are no different than us. You have no rights then. The river in New Zealand, I recognize that law, but that river has more rights than the Maori people. Think about that. That river has more rights than the Maori people. It recognizes the personality of the river. What is the personality of the river? Who defines what that is? Is it the colonial government that defines what is the personality of the river? So there's a more work that needs to be done, yes. Even corporations have legal systems of the colonizers throughout the world that recognizes the personality of a corporation. So we have to think deep on this. But those are steps we are making in the global lines and rights of nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for this, for your wise words. And I would just like to add from what you were saying about the Wanganui River, that is very interesting because we're not only changing the rights of nature, but we're also changing governance systems. So that governance systems of the relationship with nature and the stewardship and guidance of nature is also being included in these participatory laws that are created to work on behalf of nature's rights. So that's something also to uphold. So thank you for those wise words and for bringing that relationship with the planet. And now we're going to be hearing from Nnimmo Bassey. Nnimmo, thank you for being with us. We missed you yesterday and we're really happy that we can hear from you today. You've been a defender of the rights of nature for a long time and also a defender of leaving the oil underground. So we would like to hear from you as well. Thank you, Nnimmo.
Thank you so much, Natalia, and thanks to everyone for coming to this meeting this morning. It was very difficult to miss the event yesterday, so I'm glad that we had this opportunity today. And thanks, Juan, for all the fight in Ecuador. And we're so glad when we learned about the referendum in August. And we followed it very closely up to the time of the voting. We stayed very much waiting to hear the results. And so when we got the results, we were really very happy to see that the people of Ecuador voted to keep the oil in the ground in Yasu at it. That was wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations. I had the opportunity of visiting Yasuni, I think maybe 10 years ago or something, and I found it to be like a very sacred location. Very cool and quiet and so beautiful. And it's not easy to imagine that anybody wants to go there to trade for oil. And that's because the corporation don't respect Mother Earth, they don't respect indigenous people, they don't respect anybody, they only respect dollars, cash. It's about the worship. Money is their God. And this is why they are able to do all the crimes that we see in the world today. And so, since the vote in Ecuador, we all believe that it's time to Yasunize the world. We should make Yasunization a word in the English language and in every language. Because this conference should have actually spoken about that vote right from the opening day, to show the world that the people want fossils to be kept in the ground. It's not a thing to debate, but this is what political leaders are debating. You know, struggling to accept, whereas the people who live where the oil is extracted don't want the extraction because it never benefits anyone. It's the same argument about Africa. They will say, well, you guys, you need the oil, you need the money. How will you develop without the money from fossil fuels? The question is, what is development? We are not debating what development. We want to be like, who do we want to be like? Who are we and who do we want to be like? We want to be like somebody else? No, we don't want to be like somebody else. We don't want to gain the kind of development that somebody else achieved. And now we destroy the world for that. So this is a big issue that is not being debated. What should the future be like? And this is what the Global Alliance for Rights of Nature is all about. We believe that we have to connect with Mother Earth if we want to build a livable future. We have to connect to Mother Earth if we respect the right of our children and children's children to have a planet that they can live in. If you look at the very rich people in the world today, they know they're destroying the world. They're not planning to stay here. They're looking for ways to live in Mars, or to live on the moon, or to live on one asteroid, something floating in space. And they spend a lot of money to see if they can make that happen. And this is because they know the damage they've done to Mother Earth. And this is why we really, really need to think for ourselves, speak for ourselves, and stand for ourselves, and stand collectively to fight for the right of Mother Earth. Where I come from in Africa and I've lived elsewhere, we are known as sons or daughters of the sun. Sons or daughters of the earth. So just as Tom said, Mother Earth is Mother Earth, or is our mother. And you can't deal with your mother so disrespectfully. You always take, you give nothing back. And now there's a debate about loss and damage. Did you pay attention to that debate? And people are getting very excited. Now we have a loss and damage mechanism in the COP. Now who's going to pay for the loss and who's going to pay for the damage? Now it's good to pay, to put some money in the account, but you cannot pay for the harm that has been inflicted on Mother Earth. So many cycles disrupted, so many species lost, and all those species have a right. I mean, today when we started, and Nati was showing the picture of the frog, I said that the frog has a right to know. I chuckled to myself. I said, people should listen to that frog. But we've lost the capacity to hear our relatives, the other beings, because they have a lot to tell us, And it's so important that that frog can be given a right, because when any species disappears, we are also disappearing. Each species is interconnected with our life. Just think of it in your world. Have you looked around these premises and looked for birds? Have you seen any birds flying about here? I'm looking for birds in this expo location. I'm not seeing one. There must be something going on. It's either we're making too much noise, or we're just being the violence of humans around here is driving some things away. But anyway, I'm not saying there are no birds in Dubai. There are birds. They say park. So you have a lot of birds. The water park, a lot of birds somewhere in the city, and I've seen that. So what I'm saying is that the life of every creature is connected to our own life. In Africa, we talk about Ubuntu. You are alive. I'm human because we are human. Our humanity is interconnected. In my village, we talk about 𝙂𝙡𝙡𝙤𝙗𝙖𝙡, which is exactly what you talk about in Latin America. When people is good life, a good life. And a good life is not about how rich you are. And richness is not about how much money you have. It's not about how much property you have. It's how well you relate to your brother or to your sister. It's about how well you relate to Mother Earth and how you live as a human person. And this is what the world needs, this interconnectivity. If we have it, there will be no struggle to find money for loss and damage. At least the things that have been damaged, the physical infrastructure that has been damaged. But now we find more money to destroy, not to build. Not to build resilience, we're destroyed. Millions of dollars spent on warfare, $2 trillion every year on warfare by the rich countries. And they can't find 100 billion for climate finance. They can't find hundreds of 400 billion every year for loss and damage. But they'll talk about America said they're going to contribute $17 million. I can't even buy one rifle. And they are spending billions on ammunition to destroy the world. We have to call out those who are harming us and really call us up to regain our memory of who we are. Humans, part of nature, not separate from nature. We should respect one another and, of course, halt the destruction we're seeing in the world, either through warfare or through extractivism or through neocolonialism. All this has to be stopped. And I'm so glad that we all agreed on that. Together, we will win. Thank you.
Thank you, Nnimmo, for those powerful words. And I was sharing with Juan that you were a great contribution during the campaign, that we received videos from you and from many leaders on support of the 𝙭𝙡𝙤𝙀, so we want to thank you on behalf of the 𝙭𝙡𝙤𝙀. And finally, we're going to hear from Gloria Ushigua. Gloria comes from the Sapara territory, and she has been fighting in favor of her land for a long time. So we're going to listen from Gloria about her story. She also had a mandate of indigenous women from the Sapara territory coming together and bringing a message to the COP. So we would love to hear that message from the women as well. Glorita, que nos cuentes el mensaje de las mujeres y sobre tu lucha por el territorio. I'm sorry because I speak very little Spanish as well.
Bueno, soy presidente de la Asociación de Mujeres Sapara, Ashiniawka.
Yo soy presidente de la
Gracias Natalia, gracias
de Sapara
Miguel, por este apoyo. Natalia, que voy a contar aquí mi historia, ¿no? Mi territorio.
To tell this story about my territory.
Bueno, nosotros tenemos un territorio grande. En parte abajo está legalizado con escritura, parte arriba todavía estamos en un lugar, tenemos problemas con los vecinos.
We have a big territory. The part of the south is legalized, and the part of the north we still have a lot of problems with our neighbors to give land titles.
Bueno, de otra manera vamos a arreglar. Como somos indígenas, tenemos que sentar a conversar.
We are indigenous, so somehow we are going to solve this problem.
Y bueno, nosotros tenemos petróleo, oro en nuestro territorio. Bueno, mucha gente mira, ¿no? Eso para el Estado le gusta sacar para el desarrollo del Estado, ¿no?
We have oil.
Ciudades grandes.
We have oil in our territory that is being taken out for development of the country, of supposed development of the world.
Y solo lo que a ellos les gusta sacar, llevar, dejar la basura para pueblos indígenas donde vivimos, ¿no?
And they leave the trash to the indigenous people where we live. They leave us all the trash behind.
Y nuestra lucha, mujeres luchamos por eso y estamos pensando que el petróleo queda bajo tierra, eso queremos, esa es nuestra misión, vamos a llegar.
We fight for that, especially women fight for that, and our mission is to leave oil underground. That's what we're all fighting for.
Bueno, y y el petróleo siempre presentan, ellos dicen vamos a dar becas, salud, educación, todo ofrecen.
The government is always offering scholarships, education, everything. They offer everything.
Y gracias a todos los que están aquí, que me apoyan.
And thanks for everybody who's,
Belén, Natalia, algunos que están aquí.
thank you everybody here who supports me, Tom, Belén, Natalia, everybody, many people who are here.
Y por eso me siento, sí, el petróleo, el territorio Sapara queda bajo tierra, esa sería mi lucha, ¿no? Lucha de mujeres para el futuro, para los niños, ¿no?
And my fight, the fight for women, and the fight for our children is to leave the oil underground.
Siempre estamos conversando eso entre mujeres, vamos a luchar esto, seguimos. Y es que Amazonía ya está terminando.
We're always talking about that with our women. We need to leave oil underground because the Amazon is going to be over soon.
Ecuador luchamos, no solo indígenas luchamos todos.
In Ecuador, it's not only
Ecuador es la
indigenous people.
luchadora, somos
Ecuador
todos,
is a fighting
no solo
country.
indígenas. Ahí paramos todos.
Not only indigenous people, we are all fighting. It's a fighting country.
Eso ha sido mi preocupación. Yo te preocupo muchísimo de esa partecita porque yo soy poquito, no soy grande como Orani son grandotes, el territorio sí tengo grande y nosotros somos poquísimos. Si alguna cosa pasa y terminamos, somos como emergencia humana, ¿no? Si terminamos, ¿qué va a pasar en nuestro territorio? Otras personas no son Sapara, pueden negociar ellos.
We are a very small nationality. We are in an emergency because we are about to disappear. The Guaranis are a large population. We are a very small population and we can disappear at any point. ¿Ahorita cuánta gente habla Sapara?
Ahorita tenemos una encuesta y logramos.
We are still doing a survey to know how many people speak
Pero el
Sapara.
encuesta no quiere ir a trabajar a la comunidad, que le gusta ganar mucho dinero y trabajar con el Estado.
The survey was to get a lot of money for every state.
Dos nomás ahorita, dos mayorcitas ya están muriendo.
There are only 2 older women that are about to try to speak our language.
Y bueno, lo que está hablando acá el compañero Yasomí, sí, lo que ganaron, ¿no? Ganamos todo, votamos, todos.
And
Le ganamos.
what our partner here
Para mí
said,
es primera vez en el Ecuador. Le ganamos eso, nuestra lucha, ¿no?
he spoke about Yasuni because we all won. We all voted in favor of Yasuni, and this was a victory for all of us.
Y también estamos hablando algunas partes nosotros no tenemos escuela y algunas partes donde lo que no hay pista de aterrizaje no tenemos escuelita. Eso estamos preocupados también nosotros como Sapara, ¿no? Ahí están botaditos los niños, ya están haciendo grandes.
And we
Y
are worried
algunos,
because there are not
y
even.
esa pista grande hay quieren escuela, es lejos, para ir a escuelita muy lejos. Ellos como viven ahí no quieren venir a esa lugar.
We're very worried
Vivir ahí.
because there are some territories that don't even have schools. If they don't have a landing, a place for the things to land, there are no schools, and there are people and there are young children that don't have any education because the schools are very far. So we're very worried about that situation in our territory.
Y esa partecita estamos tratando como conseguir hablar con el Ministerio de Educación para lograr para la escuelita. Y esa partecita, el territorio está ahí, todavía no está explotado. Estoy muy feliz de eso, a todos los que están aquí. Y me siento, gracias.
We're trying to talk to the Ministry of Education so we can solve that. But I'm very happy to be here and to be sharing my story. Thank you very much. Gracias, Gloria. Thank you, Gloria, for this conversation. I would like to just share with you, I don't know if you know, but Panama, for example, is a country that passed a legislation in 2022. They have a national law for the rights of nature. They are the second country that has a national law for the rights of nature. And we heard our brothers and sisters from Panama that were uprising. There was a big uprising against the mining contract in Panama. And all the people of Panama got very upset because the government had signed a contract to do like a very huge mining project. And the people of Panama were talking and saying, we have recognized the rights of nature, why is this happening? And it was only last week that the Constitutional Court of Panama banned that mining project and stopped that decree to pass that mining project on behalf of the rights of nature. So I'm sharing this because what's happening with the rights of nature is really happening around the world. It's becoming a powerful tool to limit this nonsense, this extractivism that is destroying our earth. And I'm very happy that it's happening in Ecuador. As we have heard our brothers and sisters, we have been able to leave the fossil fuels in the ground, to stop mining concessions on behalf of the frogs in national referendums. However, this is also happening around the world. We're hoping that it will happen in Antarctica. It's happening in Spain. It's happening in New Zealand. It's happening in Latin America. It's happening in the US, in Europe. Europe just passed a legislation to recognize the crime against the earth. So this urgency and these words are really coming together with a voice that we want to have heard, especially in a space like Dubai, like COP28, where we are having a COP in an oil-producing country, where we are talking about the need to leave fossil fuels to the ground, to stop this model of destruction and harassment to Mother Earth. And I am really happy that we are having these leaders today and that we're having the space of Ecuador as a champion country claiming for the rights of nature and guaranteeing the rights of nature. There's still a lot to be done. These consultations have to be implemented. So there's a lot to be done still in Ecuador and in the world. But I am very happy to have these leaders with us today. And thank you everybody for coming over, for listening to these leaders. I will ask you to follow us with the Global Alliance for the Rights of Nature. We have a page for Dubai because all of our leaders here have organized many activities where they're going to be speaking about the rights of nature on behalf of nature, and we would love to have this message very clear during the COP, that we need real climate solutions for this polycrisis that we're living right now. So I want to thank the Ecuadorian Pavilion, and I want to thank you all for coming, and especially these speakers. Let's give a big applause for all of them. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no. Sure. No.
Should we stand?
Parados, sí. Juntos. Gloria, venga más cerca. Hágase amigo de la derecha. Hágase amigo.
Háganse amigos, por favor.
A ver, aquí una, ¿ya? Una, dos y tres.
Todos están viendo diferentes lados, tienen que
Sí,
ir a un solo lugar.
allá, ya.
Una por una.
Belly button.
Belly button.
I see.